All right, so thank you for your patience. I want to welcome everyone who is in this room right now or watching on live to the HKU Scholarship Info session today. We are very grateful to have actually a number of students who will be sharing with us about their scholarship experiences at HKU. They're from different backgrounds, from different programs, and also studying at different years. So I believe that it will be a very fruitful sessions for anyone, whether you're a counselor, student, or parents. This video will be available as a recording later on as well. And we will let you have the link as soon as it is ready. So again, welcome everyone to the session. We will be taking questions towards the end of the session. So 3 of our students will actually be doing their sharing in the first 30 minutes or so, followed by Q&A. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to type in your questions throughout the session in the Q&A channel, and we will be taking those as we come to an end. You're welcome to address your questions either to me or to the students. So again, thank you very much for being with us, and let's begin. So we are very fortunate again to have students sharing with us, and now may I invite Irene to be sharing her screen and tell us a little bit about herself and the scholarships that she is able to secure with HKU. Irene, please.
Okay, just wait a second. Can you see the screen? Okay. So first, thank you everyone for attending this session. My name is Irene, and I will just be spending the next few minutes going over my experiences as a scholarship recipient at HKU. And yeah, just a brief introduction of myself. I am from South Korea, and for my high school, I went to an international school with a US-based curriculum, which meant that the standardized testing I used to apply to HKU was the AP and SAT system. And currently, I am a Year 4 student in the Bachelor of Social Sciences, Government and Laws, and Bachelor of Laws program, due to graduate next year. So yeah, let's just jump straight into the session. So the scholarship I received is called the HKU Foundation Entrance Scholarship, which meant that since year 1, my tuition fees were covered in full. And the scholarship is a renewable scholarship in that as long as I met the minimum GPA requirements, I could get this scholarship year after year. And so to this day, I haven't paid a single cent for my tuition fees at HKU. And I think the scholarship has really impacted my university life in 2 main ways. Number one is that because I was receiving full tuition fees covered, I could really focus on my studies. And this means that, you know, in a sense that I didn't have to go out and search for part-time work or really even worry about whether I would be able to go another year. And really just to mention that there is a really big academic gap between high school and university. And so the opportunity to be able to do that without having these financial worries was a really big plus and helped me build that solid academic foundation as I came to Hong Kong U. And number 2 is that having my tuition fees covered by HKU, I could also partake in many different experiences in Hong Kong that you know, some were free, but then a lot are paid also. And Hong Kong is actually a hub of many different international events, such as International Film Festival, there's Art Basel, there's Christmas markets around. And, you know, just being able to spend that additional money to be able to have these valuable experiences was a big thing for me. And so the picture you can see on the right is also my dormitory room in my first year. I chose to live in a single room, also because of my financial burden was alleviated by the scholarship. And having made this choice, it really helped me also develop a sense of independence, a sense of who I am as myself by having my own room. And so, of course, this is an experience that you can enjoy even without a scholarship. But I just think that there was really a lesser hesitation in going in that because HKU was supporting my tuition fees. And so that's about my entrance scholarship. And in the next session, I just want to focus on my exchange and internship experiences, because these are also experiences that I've got subsidies for. And we'll just go straight into the next session then. So just taking a step back, as for me, I always wanted an international lifestyle, and I wanted to develop my career internationally, which is also why I chose to study outside of Korea. And that meant that I wanted my university experiences to be a time of gaining this broader understanding of different cultures, of developing skills of how to live independently, and also gain internship and work experiences globally to know where I should head towards after university. And so I used the past 4 years doing 1 exchange and 5 internships. A lot were actually secured through HKU. And so in the next slide, I'll also be talking about a select few of these experiences. So as you can see on the very left is a picture of the University of Amsterdam, where I did a semester exchange in the spring of 2019. And this was a very valuable opportunity as, I was sometimes the only Asian student in some of my classes, and I was taking policy and law classes with students from all different backgrounds. And just being in Amsterdam is such an interesting city and so different with Hong Kong, with South Korea. And through my experience in Amsterdam, I also gained such a bigger global outlook and just knowledge on where I want to be in terms of my career path, and also my global connections as well. And so touching again on the subsidy part, I received the exchange scholarship, and actually it's not very difficult to receive an exchange scholarship, because Hong Kong U's bigger aim is that they want Hong Kong U to become more international, which means that they're actually one of their maybe 10 or 20-year goal is to allow every student to go on exchange, which means that financial subsidies are pretty much reserved for exchange. And so depending on your GPA, you get different amounts of subsidies for exchange, but pretty much if you have enough GPA to go on exchange, it means that you can also receive a scholarship for exchange. And so with the scholarship I received, that was enough to cover pretty much my accommodation and some of my traveling also throughout Europe. And going to the top picture, that was my internship in Slovakia. This was an internship I went in the summer of 2018. I was working with a refugee NGO with lawyers based in Slovakia. And this was one of the kind of like an internship course I did as part of my government and laws degree. And again, mentioning back to Hong Kong U's aim to become more international and helping their students become more global leaders. This internship was also subsidized by a hefty scholarship. This was also based on a GPA bracket, which meant that it depends on your GPA. You will receive some sort of scholarship if you want to, if you're part of the government laws degree, or if you're going, if you apply for this program. And so that meant that that scholarship was enough for me to cover my entire accommodation and flight costs to Eastern Europe. And it just allowed me to really enjoy those 2 months without having to worry about how am I going to finance myself throughout the summer. And the bottom one is my internship in Japan. And this was also a very valuable opportunity. I was working at the Korea team of a Hong Kong government office based in Tokyo. So very international, right? And this was an opportunity I secured through the Hong Kong U Careers portal. I'll be mentioning more about this careers portal in the next slide, but through this opportunity, I also got to know more about what a government job would look like, and just gain more understanding of these collaboration opportunities and ways in which Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, and Greater Asia could collaborate with each other. And on the far right is just some pictures from my backpacking after my exchange. I also had some of the scholarship left over, so I used it for my trips around Europe, Morocco, and Turkey. And these were also very, very valuable experiences in its own right. So going to the next slide. Just taking a step back, I also just wanted to mention, why did I apply to HKU out of any other university that I could have applied for? I would like to mention maybe 4 points mainly. First is that just Hong Kong itself was a very attractive city to me. I actually lived in Hong Kong for 2 years as before my primary school years. So my family also knew about Hong Kong. And coming back here, I just realized how Hong Kong has a little bit of everything. It has the city, it has the world's famous hiking trails, so urban in nature. There's a very interesting local history and a strong local community, whereas there's also the international community and just this multicultural presence in the city. There's also, you have these old buildings, historical buildings, and you have the modern high-rise buildings. So it's a city full of juxtapositions. It's full of really dynamic city. And so I really enjoy living in Hong Kong, and being an HK student, it just is something that I realize every day, how blessed I am that I get to live in this city. And the second point I would mention is that for international students in particular, visa regulations are very, very important. So one thing I would mention is that IANG visa. This is a special visa for Hong Kong. This visa is a job search visa. So, which means that, especially in times like COVID, let's say that you graduate without a job offer, it doesn't mean that you get deported back to your home country right away. You have 12 full months to search for a job in Hong Kong legally through this visa. And so even if a company says that they cannot sponsor your visa if you're a fresh grad, you still have this visa. And so you can use it to actually secure that job offer legally in Hong Kong. And so that's actually a really big thing if you're an international student. There's no lottery system involved, which means that when you graduate, when you have that job offer or job offer within 12 months of graduating, then you have quite a certainty on where you're going to be in the near future. And so I would say that this is something very, very big. On top of that, international students can also take up internships, paid or unpaid, during the summer months with no restrictions at all. You don't have to submit any formalities. And so this is also a very big plus if you're thinking of learning more about the opportunities available in Hong Kong and maybe China or Greater Asia. And the third point I would mention is that Hong Kong U gives very extensive career and internship support. So again, I talked about that internship in Japan and the careers portal that I got the internship from. So that comes from this picture from the far right, which is the Cedars page. Cedars is the office under Hong Kong U for international students. And if you just type up regular daily jobs and career events update, they'll bring you to this page where every day Hong Kong U sends you a list of internship opportunities or career talks or workshops that could help your career on this portal. And you just have to click apply and then do the process. On top of that, you also get that HKU branding. And so it always helps you. And so I realized this as a fourth-year university student, that if you're going to go and search for an internship yourself out of nowhere, it is so, so difficult. And so having this kind of one-stop portal and this whole section of HKU dedicated to help you in your career path is actually something that should not be disregarded or overlooked. It's a huge thing, I'll tell you. And number 4 is that Hong Kong U has a very experiential and innovative teaching style. So one of Hong Kong U's aim, other than international that I mentioned before, is also interdisciplinary. So this is really shown in its Common Core curriculum. So the Common Core curriculum is these interdisciplinary classes designed in order to promote different students from different disciplines to come together in one classroom. And so every HK student has to do 4 to 6 4 to 6 Common Core classes. So for me, I'm a law student, but I took classes relating to science. I took classes relating to broader sociology and just all of these, and philosophy, about China studies. And all of these classes have really broadened my outlook on how my major or my potential career path would engage with the broader world. So I was working with students from science, from engineering, from medicine, from economics. And in that aspect, I would say that, yeah, Hong Kong U is a really good choice if you want to really see how the world interacts with each other, how different disciplines interact with each other, and just see where your part is in all of that. So going to the next slide. Yeah, this is my last slide. I just wanted to mention about how life in Hong Kong is currently. I think it's really difficult to know unless you are on the ground. And I would say one thing that, you know, a lot of people are worried about is the recent political changes in Hong Kong and how that would affect someone applying for university or seeking a career here. One thing I would mention, I will tell you is that first, it has pretty much a minimal effect on daily life, especially because since COVID started in January 2020, there has been no protests in Hong Kong. And so in a public safety standpoint, that is not something that you have to worry about. On top of that, actually, I would just change that mindset and say that it's just a very interesting time to be in Hong Kong. That's actually one of the reasons I applied to Hong Kong, because I thought it was such an interesting place where you can learn about politics, you can learn about you know, how different stakeholders interact with each other. And so on campus, there are actually a lot of talks and symposiums going on Hong Kong's future, like how should Hong Kong interact with the other stakeholders, and how should Hong Kong move forward? And so my recommendation to you is that you should come to Hong Kong and attend these talks, participate in these talks, and really, really be part of Hong Kong's future and Hong Kong's story. And, you know, just to wrap up, the maxim that I go by is that life goes on. There's COVID, there's political changes, but people still graduate. I'm still busy with academics, and the city is still crazy and dynamic, and change will come, but there will always be a lesson at the end of the tunnel. So this is the end of my sharing. And after the rest of the sharing, I would love to answer some questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. I want to mention here, because a lot of students are asking, that the HKU entrance scholarship will be, essentially all students will be considered for the HKU entrance scholarship just based on your application. And that's the exact situation with Irene actually when she applied. So if you're a student who have applied already this year, your application will be considered for the HKU entrance scholarship regardless of where you're from, so which passport you're holding, whether you're from Hong Kong locally or you're from a different country, it will be based on your application alone. All right, so I also want to stress that on top of the HKU entrance scholarships, there are other scholarship opportunities you can apply to. And in fact, one of our students will be talking about that in her later sharing as well. So without going into too much detail, because we will in fact be going back to talking about the scholarship details, I would like to ask Shivang to be sharing with us his experience and also the scholarship that he has received. Right. Shivang, please.
Thank you, Ying. Just a second, I'll just share my screen. Some kind of a technical issue. Whoops, sorry, just a second. There we go. So very good afternoon to everybody who's listening in. Afternoon in Hong Kong, other times in other time zones. Greetings. My name is Shivang Singh, and I am a final year student here at the University of Hong Kong. My degree is a Bachelor of Business Administration in International Business and Global Management, which is a specialized degree here at HKU. And I am currently completing my last semester. I am scheduled to graduate from HKU this May. And I would just love to take this opportunity to share my own experience here at the university with all of you and explain how the financial support provided by the university, university has really helped me learn and gain and make sure that I'm able to have a complete university experience. So my credentials are as follows. I've told you my degree. With that, I'm doing a second major in wealth management because my curriculum particularly requires me to do a second major. But even if you're doing any other curriculum at HKU, you have the option of doing a second major along with your main degree. So as Irene mentioned, it helps you, create a have a very interdisciplinary outlook with whatever you're studying here. I attended Scottish High International School back in India, which is in the city of Gurgaon, and I qualified with the Indian School Certificate. Fortunately, I was able to top the Delhi NCR region as well as the All India rankings. And before that, in grade 10, I qualified the Indian Certificate of Secondary Education. So the first question that people often ask me, my own batchmates, my peers, parents of my juniors, is why did I really come to HKU? Why did I even choose Hong Kong? So there are a few reasons and I'll take you through them. The first is HKU is one of the top universities out there. In fact, last year, 2020, in the QS rankings, HKU stood at number 25 worldwide. And that was in competition with a range of premier institutions across the globe, whether in the United States or the United Kingdom or Europe. So that's the reason that it is definitely a very, very sought after destination for higher education. Second was there was generous financial support from the university. So I was fortunate to get the President's Scholar HKU Foundation Entrance Scholarship, which is basically the highest one that's available. It covers 100% of my tuition, 100% of my accommodation, and with that, the university also provides me with a living allowance annually. Third reason is access to global opportunities. As Irene mentioned, and I will also take you through a few, HKU really pushes you out there, gives you an opportunity to step out there in the real world through a range of opportunities, whether within Hong Kong or in China or across the globe. And that's one of the reasons that I was firm on coming to HKU. Another interesting fact that I can share with you is that I was able to get into one of the very good colleges back in India for economics honors. It's called the Sri Ram College of Commerce. And I thought that, if I was able to get financial support from HKU, I would probably go there. And then I did get my admission offer after I submitted my results. And the scholarship is basically what attracted me, as well as a 4-year curriculum rather than a 3-year curriculum. Fourth is there's an exceptional resource, hub, and there's access to various networks here in HKU. So you get to interface with the industry, with experts, with other batchmates and juniors as well as seniors who are basically engaged with a variety of activities throughout academic years. The career opportunities here are very rewarding. You have a lot of opportunities even while you're doing your undergraduation. So you can intern with a number of firms, and post that, once you're done with your graduation, the employability rate is very high. It's in fact, it's maintained itself over 90 and 95% over the years, which is very high compared to other universities across the world. Then ultimately a holistic university experience, because as Irene also mentioned, we don't really have to stick only to academics. We have access to other opportunities. And with that, Hong Kong by itself is a very, very vibrant place. It has a great city life, and then, there's beaches and mountains. So the university life that we actually lead, it's very real. We're not, boundaried by a school campus, so to say. So we're really a part of the city. Now, the scholarships and opportunities that I have had access to here, I'll take you through those. As I've mentioned already, the President's Scholar HKU Foundation Entrance Scholarship covers my tuition accommodation and provides me with a living stipend. The value of these scholarships obviously vary from academic year to academic year, depending on the amount that is set for tuition, for accommodation. And this is renewable annually, provided you maintain a GPA of at least 3 out of 4.3, which is a very, very liberal kind of an expectation from the university's side. It's easy to maintain is what I can tell you. And through this, we're able to access great educational infrastructure at HKU. So the tuition's entirely covered. We have very, very good classrooms, lecture halls. We have study spaces. We have collaborative centers. So all of that we have access to entirely. With that, we have residential colleges, basically dormitories, and we also have traditional halls. So the second picture that I just flashed is the hall that I'm currently living in, my student dormitory, which is actually a restored monument from back in the 1800s. So as I'll keep iterating throughout the presentation, a very, very interesting experience staying in this old monument, so to say. Then there's the city and the beaches. So that's all that we have access to through the general scholarship that we have by virtue of our admission, as Ying just pointed out. Second is the Reaching Out Award. So this is basically an award that is sponsored by the Hong Kong government, and students have access to this award to avail of international opportunities. So in February of 2018, I had gone to the United States for the Harvard National Model United Nations Conference happening in Boston. It was really a very, very enlightening experience, discussing and debating with people from different countries, from different walks of life, and on very, very crucial issues, which is an exposure that going to other universities might not really push you towards. So that was basically the Reaching Out Award. Then we have faculty enrichment programs. My faculty, which is the Faculty of Business and Economics, they also have a range of programs that we can avail of. So the first one was an international field trip that I had gone to. That was in my first semester itself. It is a curriculum specific program. So it only BBA, IBGM students have the opportunity of going for this particular program. But certainly other faculties facilitate other kinds of programs for their own curriculums. And that's where you'll get to know what opportunities you have access to. And the good part about such opportunities is that it provides a very good balance between academic learning as well as co-curricular experiences, in the city. So going throughout Spain, in Madrid, in Barcelona, and, seeing the rich heritage over there, seeing the culture, interacting with people, trying their cuisines. This is La Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, which is a very, very renowned church. So as you can see, the field trip wasn't just limited to, going for firm visits to real companies and meeting with executives, but we also extended it to a range of other activities that all, help in experiential learning. The second opportunity was Shanghai. I went there at the end of my first year, and the university is called Fudan University. So I was doing a course over there, and I was able to transfer my credits. That's really a good part, a very good option that HKU gives us, which is if we're going to other universities for programs and if we're completing courses there, then we have the option of transferring our credits back to HKU towards our degree. So you're learning at a different university with different people under different faculty members. So a very different experience altogether, but yet you have the advantage of, letting that course count towards your graduation ultimately. So this opportunity as well gave us access to a lot of firm visits to startups as well as established, big corporates. And with that, we were definitely mesmerized by the traditional Shanghainese food, which is very different from the Chinese that we get back in India. So a very good experience altogether. The fourth kind of scholarship, and therefore the opportunity that we get here that I have availed of, there are a range of them, and these are the only ones that I have availed of. And to be very honest, it's not like I am a distinct student, and that's the reason I'm getting these opportunities by virtue of being a president scholar or whatnot. But most of these opportunities are available to all students. So it's all merit based. There are need-based funds as well that you can apply to separately, I'm sure. But if you do have the merit, which I'm sure all of you do if you are getting through to HKU, then you will have access to a lot of opportunities. So this one was basically a service trip that we had gone to, and we had gone to Manila in the Philippines. And it was a great experience because we were working with a non-profit, and we were conducting live presentations, trying to work on very sustainable projects. We also worked on a project wherein we helped that particular non-profit to prepare for something that's called the National Cleanup Day back in the Philippines. So it was a very good experience all in all. We also got the time and the opportunity to take some luxuries and leisures. So we literally traveled to cross country to this place called Tagaytay, where there's a volcanic lake. This is called the Tal Lake. And we were also able to fly down to a different sub-island within the Philippines called Palawan. And there's an underground river over there. So again, good opportunities that you might not come by, if you're attending any regular college or university, where opportunities are not as extensive or easily available as at HKU. The fifth kind is specific to my program. It's a sponsorship that we get on a reimbursement basis for various international opportunities. So conferences, workshops, competitions, whatnot. So I availed of it to go for the Indonesia Model United Nations Conference. This was in 2018. And I was there as an executive board member. So as you can see, first I started with Spain, and then I went to the US, then China, then Manila, then the Philippines. So it's really all across the globe. And with me were my several batchmates. Finally, and most importantly, and I'd like to explain this in detail, the International Affairs Office opportunities. These are available to all students. And the best part is the exchange program that we can go to. The University of Hong Kong partners with a number of universities all across that we can apply to, and we're funded for that. So for my own semester exchange program, I was able to go to Vienna, to the WU Vienna University, and it was really an experience of a lifetime. Even though I was there only for a month, I was supposed to be there for about 6 months, the entire semester, but the COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately, disrupted our plans. But I can definitely share my time from those 3 weeks. The university campus was great. Being able to have a completely new set of classmates was great, because over here in Hong Kong, we get the opportunity of being able to interact with locals, with Chinese, with a lot of Asians, and a lot of exchange students who are coming in from Europe and America. But over here, it was a little different because it was mostly European. So the majority had changed, and so had the experience therefore. We also took out time to go visit the city, go to iconic locations, see the rich art that there is in Europe, take out some time to party. So mentioning party, I think there's one point that I can tell you about. HKU offers us a very good system of a frozen GPA when we're going for our exchange program. So it's basically the university telling us that, see, you're getting this one semester out of the 4 years that you have, which is 8 semesters. Why not balance your academics with an equal amount of fun? So you only have to pass your courses. We'll freeze your GPA, and the rest, it doesn't matter. You can just enjoy. So that's the reason the exchange is very an opportunity that all students really look forward to. We were able to, rent cars, go around the country. We went to Hallstatt, then followed by that, we went to Salzburg. And all in all, it was a very, very wholesome experience. It's something that all of us really look forward to. The COVID pandemic obviously created a few hurdles, but even on a virtual or a remote learning format, it was a good experience. So followed by my exchange program, I was also able to avail of an opportunity with Harvard University. I attended their summer program just this past year, and I completed 2 more courses there, which I was able to transfer back to my degree at HKU. So in my final year, most of us are expected to do 10 courses, but I've had to do only 6 because I had these opportunities to, take some kind of an advanced credit standing priorly. So the internships that This was supposed to have an animation, but I apologize. The internships and career planning that I've been able to do here in Hong Kong are as follows. I was able to intern with startups. So Healthy Loved Ones is a startup right here. And so is Wanted. It's a South Korean startup. And they're basically into recruitment. So you get a broad range of experience with different domains, different industries. Once I completed my Harvard summer school, I was obviously very inclined to know more about investment banking and wealth management. So I interned with a firm back in India, as well as at AIA, which is a very big company in Hong Kong and Asia Pacific. And currently, I am engaged in an investment and derivative program with an American hedge fund called Ivy Line Capital. With that, I have also gained experience in the non-corporate sector, so to say. So I worked with a member of parliament back in India and assisted a joint parliamentary committee. With that, currently, I have also applied to the International Committee of the Red Cross for a traineeship project. So right now, most of us are in our application phase, being in our final year, trying to get internships, trying to get offers for jobs. My personal plan is somewhat different. I'm inclined to return to India to pursue law because I'm looking at a career in public administration or public policy, but I'm equally suitable as a candidate to be hired by an investment bank. So I feel that that's what HKU helps you do. It helps you master a certain domain that you're pursuing through your degree, as well as gives you ample opportunities that you can use to gain experience, gain skills and knowledge for some other aspirations or interests that you might have. So that's about me, and my contact details are as follows. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can hit me up over email or even Instagram. I happen to be an HKU student ambassador as well, which means it is incumbent upon me by virtue of my responsibility to interact with you even on a one-on-one basis after this session. And you can ask me whatever questions you may have, clarify any doubts, so to say. So I look forward to seeing all of you at HKU. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shivang. I want to reiterate the point that all the students who are applying to HKU, regardless of what passport you're holding, and also regardless of which program you're applying to, will be considered for the HKU entrance scholarships. And you do not have to submit a separate application. Most of the scholarships that HKU offer will be merit-based. As I mentioned, depends on your application, not as much on needs. But there are, in fact, separate applications that you can apply to that may require, for example, an additional essay or additional selection criteria. So I would recommend you to check our website. And in fact, one of our students, Joey, who will be sharing next, will tell us about one of them, which is a HKU Belt and Road Scholarship. So Joey, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, hi, can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. All right, so hi everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to come join this info session. I'm Joey, and I'm a Belt and Road Scholarship recipient. So a little bit of background information on myself. I'm a Bachelor of Engineering Science student, and my majors are in Biomedical Engineering and Molecular Biology. Fingers crossed, I will be graduating in the year of 2023. My home country is Malaysia, where I also did my A-levels in biology, chemistry, physics, and math, where I finished with 3 A stars and 1 A. So I'm pretty sure everyone is here because they want to hear about different scholarships that are offered by HKU. Let me tell you a little bit about the Belt and Road Scholarship. The Belt and Road Scholarship is actually a scholarship established by the Hong Kong government to attract excellent non-local students along the Belt and Road region. Initially, this was Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Myanmar, where 10 recipients will be chosen from each country respectively. However, over the years, this has expanded to other countries such as India, Korea, and Vietnam, where collectively 10 recipients will be chosen from these countries. If you want to know more about the countries that are eligible, you can search at this website. A little bit of other details on the scholarship. is that it covers full tuition fees and is renewable depending on satisfactory academic performance. In my case, this means I have to achieve a CGPA of 3.0, which is an average about a B and is very, very possible and I can do it without sacrificing my student life. Aside from that, I will need to write a thank you letter to the donor each year. And this is in the form of like an academic progress report and also a few pictures of what you've done throughout the year. A more interesting bit of the scholarship details is my application experience. So actually, the Belt and Road Scholarship is a nomination-based scholarship. And what this means is that the university will select students based on academic performance and contributions to apply for the scholarship. Followed up by the nomination is a submission of documents. So there are 3 documents that you need to submit along with your application. Number 1, it's a 1-page write-up on why you should be considered for the scholarship and your plans after graduation. In this document, I wrote a little bit of what I did during my high school days and how this links back and will help me in my studies, and how I plan to use my biomedical engineering degree to help Hong Kong society after I graduate. Secondly, you have to submit your latest CV. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. And the third one, aside from the original personal statement, you will also have to write short paragraphs relating to each of the areas below, including your academic achievements, your contributions to society, your leadership and communication abilities, and your interest in integrating into and contributing to Hong Kong society. This is totally up to your interpretation, and it's what you personally plan to do. Fingers crossed, you get an interview. So this could be a one-on-one interview or a group interview. In my case, it was a one-on-one interview where I was interviewed by a professor from HKU, and she asked me questions like, why do I choose to study engineering, and why do I want to come to Hong Kong specifically to study? Although I've not attended a group interview, I've facilitated some. So what happens in the group interview is that you'll be given an article and you have to write your opinion based on the article. And followed up by that would be a group discussion of your opinions on the article. My tip for the interviews is that you have to be genuine. Because it's easy to see if you're lying. And truthfully, they just want to assess your fit for the university and for the scholarship. So after all of this application processes, you will receive your scholarship results. For me, it was around late July, but this varies from year to year. And I was told this year that it might be slightly earlier than July. So how has this scholarship helped me in my university life? The gist of it is that it's given me more freedom, more time, and less worrying to enjoy my student life. And this has come in 2 aspects. Firstly, educational benefits. I have more time to spend on studying, which is also pretty self-explanatory. More time to apply for exchange. I've just submitted my application for exchange, and the results will come out in February. So HKU actually provides like a wide range of exchange partners, and you can actually find the list on the HKU Worldwide website. Aside from that, I've also more time to apply for mentorships. So HKU offers a wide array of mentorships, and this can be university-wide or just faculty-specific based. As a bit of background, I'm currently a mentee under the Hong Kong Life Sciences Society, where I get to mingle and network with students of different universities in life sciences, as well as industry leaders in the life sciences industry. Aside from that, I have more time to join in competitions. And what's great about this is that there are so many competitions going on in Hong Kong and in HKU alone that you have a student email, and all of these invites to competitions will be sent towards your email, and you can choose whether to join them or form a team and explore more. On a more personal side, I have more time to engage in hall and university activities. And I'm not saying that by not having a scholarship, you wouldn't be able to join in all of these. I'm just saying it's given me more leeway. So on the right, you can see here, I'm currently in a society called Breathe. Over here, I joined in lacrosse in my hall where we won the Inter-Hall Championships this year. And also I enjoy exploring Hong Kong with my hallmates. what this has given me is the time to build like meaningful connections, which is so important in university where you want to make memories that you remember for the rest of your life. Now, I would just like to talk about why I chose HKU, because I was still given other offers, but in the end, HKU became my first choice. And obviously, besides from the scholarships, one of the most concrete reasons to choose HKU is its reputation and opportunities. So if you didn't know, HKU is ranked 22nd in the world based on the QS World University Rankings, and is one of the more world-renowned universities. Besides from that, I chose Hong Kong and Hong Kong U because of the biomedical engineering opportunities present. As you can see in the article above here, the Hong Kong biomedical tech boom is fueled by the world-class talent and the capabilities of Hong Kong students. And as well for HKU, I understand that you can actually apply to different research projects under professors, even if you're year one. So HKU doesn't limit you by your which year you are in your academic journey. As long as you show the interest and the willingness to commit to it, most likely a professor will take you under their wing to conduct research. Aside from that, being a student studying in Malaysia my entire life, a very important aspect was how internationalized the university was. So if you, this is evident by the fact that HKU is the world's most international university ranked by Times Higher Education. And what this has given me is the opportunity to build connections around the world. And I got to meet people from all walks of life. Not just in hall, but also in university. And this has allowed me to share different perspectives with these people and learn about different work ethics and different cultures, which, yeah, I think it's quite interesting. Second, next to that is, if all of these doesn't entice you, definitely this hall and the campus life will. So in HKU, we have a quite unique hall system in the sense that we have 17 residential halls, each of which has its own culture and its own traditions. For my halls, St. John's College, we have this thing called Siu every Monday, where different members of the floor will cook and we'll just enjoy it together in the pantry and learn about each other's weeks. So the halls give students this opportunity to not only develop university, like a campus life, but also like you grow with your hallmates, and it's a space for you to develop your interpersonal skills, and even like a space where you have a reason to mingle with alumni, some of which may have which hold key opportunities for your future. So over here, one more unifying tradition in each of the halls is the high table dinner, where it's this event where the whole hall gathers and you sit together in the auditorium or a hall, and you will have dinner together, and the hall will invite a speaker. I remember during my year, during my hall life last year, one of our speakers was Mr. Donald Tsang, which was the predecessor of Miss Carrie Lam, who is the chief executive of Hong Kong. So that was quite an interesting talk. So besides from hall life, there is also a vibrant campus for you to enjoy. HKU is this clubs and societies galore, with clubs ranging from arts, science, sports. You'll definitely find something you enjoy. So personally for me, I was in ISAC, which is a youth development club. And in here, I got to join conferences which unified students from all universities in Hong Kong. And I got to meet each of them and learn a little more about their universities. Aside from that, I'm also currently in BREED, which is a biorobotics club whose robotic fish just broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest 50-meter swim. So that's quite interesting. And if clubs and societies isn't your thing, there's also interesting activities organized by various departments in HKU. For example, the Sustainability Office of HKU organizes this monthly activity called Edible Spaces, where they teach you about urban farming and how you can start your own. So yeah, I think one of the questions that a lot of people must have in their mind is, why do I still choose Hong Kong after everything? When I say Hong Kong now, you might be bombarded with images of the social movement 2 years ago, or even the fact that the cases are rising here. Well, the truth is the cases are rising, but by a very small amount. And to be honest, life goes on as usual in Hong Kong. I can still go out and have lunch with my friends, although dine-ins are restricted after 6 p.m. And also like there is restrictions on how many people can dine together, but still life goes on. And this is the most normal, the closest to normal I've gotten in a long time during the pandemic. So these are the images in Hong Kong. As you can see over here, people will definitely wear masks because it's mandatory to. And if that's not enough to ensure your safety, the Hong Kong government has promised this is planning this vaccination program where it aims to vaccinate the majority of the Hong Kong population by 2021. So I would say relatively, Hong Kong is one of the safer countries to be in during this pandemic. And while most countries are on lockdown, Hong Kong isn't, and I still got to enjoy all these wonderful places. And I hope that with all of these, you'll still also make Hong Kong your first choice, and not just Hong Kong, also Hong Kong U. So I hope to see you at HKU. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us in these platforms, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Okay, because of the time limit, I would not be able to go through every single scholarship that require application. As some of you are aware, actually some of you are also asking in the chat that there are a number of additional scholarships that students can apply to. One of them being the Belt and Road Scholarship that Joey just mentioned. There's obviously additional eligibility criteria. For example, in the Belt and Road Scholarship, in particular, the student's nationality, where they're from. Because the scholarship, in fact, is being administered by the Hong Kong government. So there is, in fact, an additional criteria. There will be additional essays, as Joey mentioned, that you will also have to submit as well. The full list of such information is on our website, available on the website, hku.hk/international. So I highly encourage you to visit the website. For those who are thinking about where to apply, if you are a final year high school student, it is still not too late for you to do so, and you will still be considered for various different kind of scholarships by HKU. All you need to do is to submit an online application through the HKU website. So again, the website is hku.hk/international, where you will be able to find an online application form. All applicants will be considered for the HKU entrance scholarship automatically based on their application. If you're interested to apply to additional scholarships, for example, the Belt and Road Scholarship, then you can actually indicate it on the application form, and you'll be contacted at a later point to submit some additional documents for the evaluation process. Usually, the scholarships offer will be released around roughly the same time as your admissions offer. But in the case that it does not, usually we are also aiming to get back to the students as soon as possible, as some scholarships are in fact being administered by, for example, the Hong Kong government or administered by a private donor. So that may actually require a little bit more time for the deliberation process. So please do stay tuned. Do check our website regularly, do check your application regularly for communication from us, and I believe you will be set for that. So for those who are not applying this year, you're welcome to apply. If you're going to apply in 2022 or onwards, the application usually open around a year before the intake. So if you're applying for 2022, usually we're talking about 2021 September, the application will be open, and that will be a prime time for you to make an application, either for just the admissions offer or also with for the scholarships as well. So it's 5 p.m., but I think there are quite a lot of questions in the chat, so I would actually take some time to go over some of them. I apologize if not all the questions can be covered with the limited time we have, but we will be sharing the recording and also some of the questions, some of the most popular questions the students are asking in the chat as a follow-up to what when you get the recording later on. So here, I'm going through the questions now. We have a number of students asking about the as all the students who will share are international students, how important do you think it is to speak Chinese, speak Cantonese in terms of being able to enjoy university, being able to enjoy internships, exchange, and a variety of all that? Irene, do you think you can take that question?
Sure. I would say, so just for the record, I can speak zero Cantonese. I can only order food a little bit in the restaurants, but basically I don't speak any Cantonese. And yeah, for one thing, you have to know that all HQ students can speak good English. So that would be a problem in making friends. Actually, Hong Kong U students, like local students, are very open to becoming friends with internationals. They're very, very curious people. And so actually most of my friends are local students here in Hong Kong. There are certain clubs and societies that might be run primarily in Cantonese, but equally there are English-run societies. For example, I'm part of the MUN society, which is run in English. I'm in the International Christian Fellowship. And also in my halls, I was part of the college committee, which is the student organizing committee for parties and events. And if there was, I also wanted to do creative magazine. So I actually started my own club for creative magazine work. So I would say that in student life, it doesn't really matter. Even in daily life, I would say that I get along perfectly well, even though I don't speak any Cantonese for 5 years straight. So yeah, Mandarin, I do speak a little bit of Mandarin, but it's not like I can really use it in my daily life unless I was going to the wet market to buy groceries. So if you can speak English, that's perfectly fine. And yeah, if you need help, then definitely be proactive and seek help from a local student or a local person. They're always so friendly and willing to help.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go through the other application. Maybe Shivang, would you mind answering? I think some students are having questions about conditional offer and also probably scholarship based on the condition. I'm gonna guess that in your case, you receive a conditional offer from us. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you kind of just give us a kind of how that works out for you?
Sure. So in my case, I got a conditional offer to begin with, but that was for my first preference, which was a degree called Bachelor of Economics and Finance. And after that, when we got our board result, I did see some students or parents mentioning whether the board result is enough to apply to HKU, and that's the good part. So all Indian students, Indian teachers, Indian counselors who are joining in can note that SATs or ACTs or TOEFL, all of these supplementary examinations are not quite required to apply to HKU if you've studied the Indian boards, but either ISC or CBSE. So the university sets certain slabs even for scholarships as well as admission. So just our high school board qualification is sufficient to apply to HKU as well as be considered for scholarships. So that's a good part. It's almost as if we were applying to the University of Delhi. And as far as the conditional and the firm offer system is concerned, don't fear if you haven't received a conditional offer, because it happens on a case-by-case basis for a lot of students. So that's why I've worked with the admissions office with Ying himself, and therefore I'm aware of this, that it happens in batches. So if you've gone through the early bird applications, you'll obviously hear back from the university on priority. But if you've been applying afterwards in the rolling round, then you'll hear back as and when your application is considered. So all said and done, you will definitely hear back. When, of course, is a question mark, because there are thousands of applications that are coming in every year, and therefore it takes time. It's a lengthy process. But all said and done, if you're checking all boxes of the application, then rest assured that you will be contacted either with a conditional offer or directly with a firm offer after you submit your result.
Okay, thank you, Shivang. Actually, I want to follow up again because there are students asking if it's still too late for them to apply to application. I want to reiterate this point again, that all the students who are applying to HKU or have applied to HKU will be considered automatically for the HKU entrance scholarships, pretty much regardless of when you apply. But obviously, the time of when you apply will have an impact on when you hear back, and also the faculty evaluation schedule will also come into play when the offers are being issued. So we'll definitely encourage students to do so earlier than later. For the scholarships that are other than the HKU entrance scholarships, they actually, because they are being administered by different, for example, by the Hong Kong government or by a private donor, there is the possibility of that being run out if all the offers have gone out. So I would, again, if that applies to you, if you've checked our website to make sure you're eligible for these scholarships opportunities and you want to make an application, I would suggest you to do so earlier than later, because there is a chance that you may miss, for example, you may miss the evaluation deadline, you may miss, your application may be coming too late when all these scholarships offered for that particular scholarships have already gone out. So I want to make sure you are aware of that. I also have a question about room and board. Actually, Joey, maybe you can tell us about what it looks like, because I know you're living in a dorm right now. Are there single rooms? Are the rooms shared rooms? What does it look like for international students or just local students in general?
So it depends on which hall you go to, because some are newer and some are older. The newer halls are actually called residential colleges, and they're a bit further away from campus. They do have shared rooms and single rooms. For my hall specifically, St. John's College, all of the rooms are single rooms. So if you were to apply to other halls, let's say Star Hall, you might have to share a room with someone. So usually the maximum would be 2 people a room.
Thank you. Actually, I believe all of you are in Hong Kong right now. Can you, maybe Joey, you can tell us about courses right now, because I think a lot of international students are quite concerned about courses that are being conducted right now with COVID and also with travel restriction, because some students obviously are unable to travel to Hong Kong because of safety concerns. So what does it look like for you?
So what's great about Hong Kong U right now is that there is this hybrid option. So for most of my courses, they are online for safety reasons, like the larger courses. But for smaller courses, there is the option to go back to campus and actually attend physical class. And I think this is much needed in the time of pandemic where we haven't been to physical classes for a while. So yeah.
Okay, I want to add again, because there's a couple of students asking the same questions. The application is not too late for you to apply if you're a final year student. So please do make sure you do it earlier than later, because that may in some ways affect the scholarship evaluation, especially if it is a scholarship that has a limited quota and all the offers have been issued. But if you are a student who are making an application to HKU and also applying to other separate scholarships, please do be rest assured that your application will be considered for both the HKU entrance scholarships and the additional scholarships that you're applying to, and that you may be required to submit as additional supporting documents. So you will be considered for all of that. When you are being awarded, only the highest amount of scholarship will apply. So you may, if you are a student who are eligible for more than one scholarship in your case, then the highest scholarship would apply to you.
I think also to add to what Joey was saying about accommodation, in case you're not able to get into a university provided dormitory, then there's also an option to apply to private residences. So you can get a private accommodation, you can lease an apartment or maybe just a co-living space. And the incentive that HKU gives to you is that there's this bursary scheme. So you need to understand that property rates here in Hong Kong are very high because there's only very limited residential spaces. So for that reason, the university tries to support you in the event that you aren't able to get admission in a university dormitory. So it's almost, so the subsidy that you get is a monthly subsidy of 2,600 HKD. So that really eases the financial stress that one might have to go through if he or she is paying entirely for an outside accommodation that's not university sponsored. So that's also a good point to note, that if you are not able to get through for university accommodation, there are always other options as well as incentives to support those options.
All right, maybe given the time, I will take maybe one final question. Hey, Irene, would you mind telling us a little bit about the HKU opportunities about internship for undergraduate? I mean, I know a lot of you have already mentioned about CEDARS and what it does, and also how it helps students. In terms of an international student point of view, how does it look like to you and your peers? And what are the, what does it look like to you?
Sure. I would say that, HKU does the career support that we get from HKU and applying for internships in Hong Kong is definitely something that, the career support caters to both local and international students. So there are opportunities that will require, let's say, like Cantonese speaking or Mandarin speaking. Then maybe that's not for you, but there are so many opportunities that also require an international student to apply for. For example, the internship I did in Japan was with the Hong Kong Economic Trade Office, and that required a Korean speaker to join the team. That's why I think maybe that was why I had the edge in order to apply and actually get into that internship, because what I've heard was that I think 70 students applied for it. And so getting into that scheme was also easier because I was an international student. So I think it's easy to think that because you're from an international background, it's hard to get an internship in Hong Kong. Maybe I need to be local, I need to be able to speak Cantonese. But really, there are so many schemes that also really understand the international profile of students studying in Hong Kong. And therefore, there will be schemes that require you to have that international outlook. So, I'm Korean, but there's also Japanese speaking opportunities. There's also those requiring knowledge of the ASEAN market, which would prefer students from Southeast Asia and maybe South Asia and different places. And so as an international student, I think that my experience in Hong Kong and also globally has been quite broad because of the international profile of Hong Kong, and also just the different channels in which I could search for internships.
Okay, thank you, Irene. I think with that, we've come to a close to the session. I want to remind students that you are very welcome to join our actually upcoming sessions where you will be able to speak to current students, perhaps like Shifang, students who would help and guide you through the admissions process, also something about your application and some tips from their end on how, for example, how you can write something, write a good personal statement, how you can maximize your chance in an application. Please do make sure to keep a lookout for that information. We have also sent a survey to all the students who have registered for the session. So all of you should have received a link from us. So if you have that, I would encourage you to fill it out, to give a bit more information about yourself and also your information that would help us to follow up with you afterwards, because I know all of you are interested in various different kinds of scholarships, and we will also be sending you information about those scholarships as they become available. Again, I just want to take this chance to thank everyone, thank all the student ambassadors, the great students with us, and for giving their insight and sharing on their experiences and the scholarships that they received with us. We will send out a recording and some of the questions, some of the answers to the most commonly asked questions from the chat. So please keep a lookout for that. And again, thank you everyone for joining the session. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we will see you soon. Thank you and bye-bye.